All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. It is Thursday. Nasdaq's still green on the day. Gold is up to 42.60 right now. 42.60. Taiwan Semiconductors did report earnings. You can see Thursday, at the bottom Nasdaq's of the screen. Still green on the day. Gold. All right, let me get rid of the echo. But yeah, you can see at the bottom of the screen. Taiwan Semiconductors posted 33.1 billion versus 31.58 billion expected. EPS of 292 versus 252 expected. They guided for 32.2 to 33.4 billion versus about 32 expected. So a little bit better guidance than expected, better EPS, better revenue. They are up a little bit. They're at 311s right now. Gold's the interesting one. Bitcoin's still sitting around 111s. Had this big spike early this morning. Went all the way down at 109.8. So I think it's just kind of stopping people out and then going back up this morning is what it looks like to me. Yeah. How'd you guys do yesterday? We actually made a pretty good amount yesterday, so we did good. Fed's Moran is talking. So the Fed's Moran has been speaking. I'll try to summarize all of it for you real quick. Hold on. But yeah, the Fed's Moran, which is the newest appointed Fed member, he said they do not see a recession as a result of renewed U.S.-China tensions. They do not see a recession as a result of renewed U.S.-China tensions. The Wall Street Journal also said the EU exports to the U.S. dropped sharply. Moran also said the Fed should cut 50 basis points, but expects it will be 25 next meeting, which is, again, kind of what everybody expects here. So he's pushing for 50 basis point cuts next meeting. He said the uncertainty about the economy that had dissipated is now back because of the renewed U.S.-China tensions. Tariffs may yet cause inflation, but don't see it yet. And that's basically, he said, tariffs may yet cause inflation. Halting balance sheet runoff soon makes sense. I agree with that. I think halting QT makes sense. He said, I see 2025 U.S. economic growth at or around 2%. Said growth for next year in 2026 could hinge on how U.S.-China tensions are resolved. He also said they expect growth around 2%. We also have Putin speaking this morning. But yeah, that's the news. We also essentially had the president confirm make sure I get the exact quote. Might have been yesterday. Yeah, TSM is up. Nasdaq's up to 2560, over 25,000. Big psychological level. Gold, man, flying up. Probably do a poll about when we'll hit Lee, Bravo, Rolling, Kato, Lost, E, Brian, Jeff, Simple, Ava. Yes, good morning. Yeah, and so when asked by reporters, the president said if the U.S. When asked by reporters if the U.S. was in a trade war with China, the president replied, quote, well, you're in one now. We have 100% tariffs. But NASDAQ, everything is up. We have Jim Cramer on social media this morning, essentially saying, let me see what Cramer said. He said something. Hold on, let me. Cramer said, the futures take the market up, oblivious to what the president is going to say about China. So silly. And then in all caps, he put, wait. So this might be the biggest bull sign of the year. You know, again, I'm not an investment professional. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Do not copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about half the time. Don't do it. But, you know, Jim Cramer thinks we're going to correct some. Maybe he's right. I don't know if that's necessarily a good sign for a correction, though, but. And see, he said, quote, when CEO says they are always optimizing our supply chain, that often means, quote, we were caught making a ton of stuff overseas in China and we are trying to get out as fast as we can, but we didn't see this change coming. Don't do it, Brian. Hey, what's up, Faye? Todd, what's up, man? Is Rivian a good stock? I don't know. I see a lot of Rivians in my area. You know? The thing I have a problem with in my area, right? Like, I'm in the Woodlands, Texas. The thing I have a problem with my tax dollars getting spent on is that if anybody's ever been here, we got a bunch of cops riding around on horseback. Like, you go to the mall, you go wherever, you got a bunch of cops riding around on horseback. Like, literal cops riding around on horseback. Like, dude, I know somebody steals something from the mall, they're not catching them, you know? A go-kart could beat those cops. A freaking golf cart could beat those cops. And so what are we paying those guys for? That better not be coming out of my property tax. I don't want to see it, you know? Like, waste tax dollars. Like, why do we have horseback riding cops just for the look of it? It's just for the look of it here. I had a big issue with where I live right now. Absolutely ridiculous. Why is my tax dollars getting spent on freaking horseback riding cops? Dumb. Makes no sense. I've never seen them arrest anybody. You know? Freaking Texas, man. I like Texas, just to clarify. But ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Right, I'd rather them be investments. I mean, these are big horses too. Like, these are not small horses. These are huge horses that they're riding on. Yeah, I've lived in Canada. I'm in Kingwood. Yeah, listen, I get it, man. But you gotta know and understand. Like, tax dollars just getting wasted on this stuff. Get somebody in a car. Like, put them in a car. Like, just get a car. They do it for the look. Not because it looks intimidating, because it looks Texas. Yeah, that might be what it is, Tanbear. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Nasdaq still breaking highs of the day, though. Look at the highs of the day, up to 25,075 right now. Let's see if it continues. Yeah, Putin says we are working on raising Russia's gas exporting potential. Nasdaq still pushing up, getting closer to all-time highs in the Nasdaq. I think all-time highs in the NQ are, let me see exactly where all-time highs in the Nasdaq are. All-time highs in the Nasdaq, 25,394. We're at 25,080, so we're not that far away from all-time highs. We did have a bunch of earnings this morning. TSM, the biggest earnings, you can see those down. Snowflake and Palantir announced a strategic partnership for enterprise-ready operating systems. So SNOW is up pretty big. Get SNOW here on this news. And then PLTR, 181s. Nasdaq still breaking all-time highs, new all-time high, or not all-time high, high of the day. High of the day is now 25,080 for the NQ. Tony, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put you in timeout. What now? I have better comments than that. I'll sit in the corner and think about what you've done, sir. Amex tomorrow. Yeah, we got a bunch of earnings today, honestly, as well. I'm just waiting for them to come out. We got Schwab at 7:30. 6:30 now. Or no, it's about to be 7:30, so Schwab should be about to drop. We had Bank of New York. We had TSM earnings. 292 versus 259. Snap on, M&T Bank, Travelers, Marsh. Yeah, some people are talking about the NFP report coming out tomorrow. It's not. You know, not that I, unless somebody backtracked and said they're releasing it tomorrow. Yeah, we do not have. Now today we do have something. We got the Philly Fed index. Here's yields right now. So yields are currently at 4.028%. So yields have actually gone up a little bit since the last time we looked at them. Here's a 5-day chart. If you look at them, they're actually up a little bit from where they were. They were almost at 4% even. Here's 4% even. So if you look at this like early yesterday morning, if you look at this down here, like this is 4% even, right? So yields got pretty close to that. Today they opened up a little bit higher, and now they're at 4.024%. Yes, 4.028%. So yields a little bit higher, but really kind of unchanged here. Everybody's waiting for the data to come out. Next week we got some stuff, but we'll take a look at the Fed watch tool. Watch tool still has it about 97% likely of a rate cut, 25 basis point cut next week. Or no, not next week, the week after next. And 3.3% likelihood of a pause. So this has actually decreased a little bit from yesterday. So these odds have gone down, and these odds have gone up a little bit in terms of a pause, but still pretty negligible difference here in terms of yields and everything else. No, we're not getting PPI today. Anybody that tells you we are doesn't really understand, I think. PPI is done by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You go to the if you go to the BLS here, right? Yeah, it's done by the BLS. If you go to the BLS page, suspension of federal government services. Website is currently not being updated due to the suspension of Fed services. Last update of the site was Wednesday, October 1st. Updates will start again when the federal government resumes. We're not going to get PPI today. Anybody that says we are is not really paying markets. No PPI today. We don't really have anything else going on today. We do have the Philly Fed index. So that might move things, and we're gonna cover that like it does. You know, it's all we got to cover. Philly Fed index expected for October. This is actually kind of a big, a larger report. The Philly Fed index. So maybe it'll move things. We saw some movement from what was yesterday, the New York Empire State, and that wasn't even like a big report. The Philly Fed index it's a decent report that might move things. We'll see. It might not. Probably won't really, but we'll see. Gold, guys, just got up to 42.63 an ounce. I'm pretty sure this is all-time highs. Yeah, all-time highs on gold again today, man. Look at the year. This is 2025. Let me clear all these big levels out. Look at the year of 2025. Look at the year of 2025. What a crazy year for gold. Look at this. Yeah, Bitcoin had this huge jump this morning. Like a big jump. Look at it, like right around 4 a.m. my time. Bitcoin had this huge jump. Again, the president came out saying, when asked by reporters if the U.S. is in a trade war with China, the president replied, well, you're in one now. We have 100% tariffs. And that made a lot of people nervous this morning. Yeah, 5K could happen for gold, which is wild. That's a wild price. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we had a lot of earnings that came in pretty positive here. Charles Schwab just released earnings at 6:30. Here's Schwab earnings. They posted adjusted EPS of 131, expected 123. $97 a share now. Revenue of 6.14 versus 5.99, so better than expected for Schwab. Look at gold though, man. Gold is a crazy looking chart. Look at how many green days gold has had. Like out of the last, this is August 15th. So this is 2 months ago. Out of the last 2 months, we've only had, let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12 red days. 12 in 2 months. 12 red days in 2 months for gold. And gold is breaking all-time highs again this morning. New all-time highs, 42.63. Gold is wild right now, breaking all-time highs. NASDAQ is getting closer to its all-time highs. It's still a ways away. It's like 394. We're at 77 or 80 for the NASDAQ. So it's close. If you look at the SPY here, SPY up to 668s. All-time high 674s or so, I think. Yeah, 674 all-time highs on the SPY. So we're at 668s. Still close enough to be relevant to, well. What's a good question for the poll that I haven't done in the last few days? Hit me with it. What's a good question I haven't done in the last few days for the poll? Yeah, oil was under $50 a barrel. Still under it. It's at 58.80s a barrel. And gold has flown. Big moves for gold. Well, TSM is up after good earnings. Not up a huge amount though, but it's up. You know, earnings dropped about right here. I think if we look at TSM where it's at relative to when its earnings dropped, which is right here, it's slightly green. Slightly green. So it's not having some huge reaction. I think it's kind of buy the rumor, sell the news, where everybody's getting baked into optimism here. So. 2% base rate for what be the norm? Which rate? You talking about the Fed rate? You talking about inflation rate? Or are you talking about? Sounds like you're talking about inflation. But 2% rate on what? Interest? Inflation? Fed rate? I mean, what are we at now? We're at like 4. We're at 4 to 4.25 still, right? If I remember correctly, just off the top of my head, we're at 4.25. Yeah. I think we're coming down to 2. Last time we were anywhere near that, it was 2022. We were around that. We had 0.5%. Yeah, that was during the economic, like the super low interest rate environment was from 2020 lockdowns. You know, prior to that, it was still pretty low. I mean, it wasn't like it was super high, but by 2019, prior to 2020, we were at 2.4%. You know, we dropped it significantly, and it started to come down a little bit early in 2019. But by 2020, it was at 1.5%, and we dropped it all the way down to 0.05%, basically almost zero. And again, we did this because we had lockdowns, supply chain problems, all these different things happened from 2020. And so the Fed was like, hey, we need to bring interest rates now, stimulate the economy, save us from, try to help get us out of some of this mess that we're in right now. You know, they did QE as well, printed a bunch of money, you know, and the consequences of all that stuff, right? Not just the money printing, we had stimulus checks, like we had lockdowns, we had super low interest rate environment, we had, again, quantitative easing, we had all these different things. The consequence was inflation. That's why, you talk to people are like, yeah, we're in a recession. And it's like, well, we're not in a recession. Inflation's just been freaking crazy the last 5 years, and people are unhappy about that mostly. But that's not a recession. That's the opposite, which is just too much economic stimulus and issues, spiked inflation, and now 5-6 years later, now we're here. Is what kind of happened. Yeah, I mean, I'm in Bitcoin. I'm in gold. I like both of those markets. But yeah, that's a good one. Do 10-year yields all below. I don't know why I capitalize it. I'm gonna just say do yields. I'll put 10-year. Fall below 4%. Hold below 4%. Ahead of this month's OMC decision and meeting. That's a good question. All right, vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think there. No, we're not in a depression. We're not in a recession. We don't even have negative GDP at this point in time. Again, I'm not criticizing anybody here, but one of the most ridiculous, contradictory mindsets I see a lot is a few years ago, people were like, oh, bro, they changed the definition of a recession, right? They complained and they complained and they complained about it. And now they're trying to act like we are in a recession, even though we have pretty decently positive GDP at this point in time. Now GDP we get is lagging. That's true. But the last one was what? It was like 3%, maybe more than that. What was the last GDP? $3.8% in quarter two. That's not a recession, All right, guys. Nasdaq pulling back a little bit. Is it a buy the dip scenario here in the Nasdaq? I'm thinking about it. We're not gonna ride all-time highs. Oh man, look, we got a bounce already. Yeah, listen, I get it. Inflation, you want to take all these things into consideration. The reality of it is, regardless of how we get it, we still got a positive for quarter two, probably quarter three, unless this trade battle with China really overtakes things and starts to cause big, quick problems. It would have to be quick too. We're not going to enter a recession this year. You know what I mean? And while it's possible, it's incredibly improbable, and I just think it's not going to happen. But maybe, you never know. We'll see. I think the real reality is that people are still a little unhappy about the inflation and price increases that we've seen over the last 5 years, and they correlate unhappiness with the recession, but it's not always the same it's not always they're not always correlated. People are sometimes unhappy for the opposite of a recession, which is too much economic stimulus and inflation problems that we get from it. So I think you got to just take both into consideration. I'm not saying inflation is good. It's 3%, which is kind of like medium. It's not really bad. It's not really horrible, but it's not really great either. Definitely a negative sign. And I'm not saying GDP is good, but it's certainly not negative right now. And we can say the data is not whatever, not accurate. Again, that's fine, but we're just not in a recession. Yeah, we got the Philly Fed Index. I'm pretty sure still getting released today. Making sure. We got the Philly Fed Index. Should be dropping at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in about an hour. We'll cover it. Bro, I'm telling you, I'm getting so tired of ChatGPT. Look at ChatGPT over here. Look at this answer. What an answer by ChatGPT. Look at this thing. Everybody read this right now. Does the Philly Fed Index still release today? Question mark. ChatGPT's answer. No. The Philly Fed Manufacturing Survey is not being released today. The next release date is Thursday, October 16th at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Today, Thursday, October 16th. Shout out to ChatGPT, man. I guess it did answer the question, but not in the way I wanted. Okay. Yeah, so the Philly Fed is conducted and published by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, which is not closed during the government shutdown. They're independent. And so it's coming out today. I have seen that news, Dr. Crypto. I saw some news about some stuff like that. Yeah, I saw some news about it. I think once the yields fall and the moneymaker market accounts stop paying on for having money sitting, all that money on the sidelines will hit stocks. Maybe. I mean, that's generally like normal market behavior, is that there's risk on assets and risk off assets. Risk on assets are like equities. Risk off assets are like bonds and yields and money market funds. And so, yeah, I mean, that's generally what happens. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen because I don't know, but that's generally what happens. You pull up. I'm kind of thinking about buying the dip. I might take a little small position here, the challenge account, and just see if you can get something. Oh wait, this is the regular NASDAQ here. I just bought 3 contracts of the regular NQ. Would be the equivalent of 30 micros. I'm gonna take one off here. Give the rest time. Gold just broke highs again. 42.64s here for gold. Gotcha. Appreciate it, Pawn. I mean, the trend looks like it wants to continue here, but here we go. No, we didn't lose audio. We just stopped talking as much. There we go. That's the move I wanted. To take this off. Should have held the whole 3 contracts, but it's all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take that off too. Huh. Tell me, bro. Look, we're right here. There we go. Scalping it a little bit early this morning. Bounce was there. I think a lot of people saw the bounce coming. The graph. Let me ask GPT. Crazy. Magic 8 ball instead? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah, so basically ChatGPT basically says to tell it the date. I told it the date numerous times. I was like, hey, today is Thursday. Still, it's okay. Maybe I should just use Gemini. Gemini, I got over here analyzing MRI images and doing all kind of stuff. And it does it pretty well. But again, the government shutdown is still here today, guys. We take a look at Cauchy. Ugh. At this point in time, 50% of people think over 40-day government shutdown. 38% of people think over 45 days. 66% of people think over 35 days. So again, looks like most people are pricing in about 40-day government shutdown at this point in time. So that timeline is correct. Government should resume around November 10th. Right around the China deadline. Which I'm assuming is going to get pushed back. Waller, we do have Waller speaking. Waller said, let's talk about what Waller said. So Waller said, let's talk about it. Okay, I found out whether Waller's been speaking. They said, my job is about the labor market and it's not good. A lot of our AI spending is about sectoral reallocations. Our estimate is inflation is about 2.5% ex tariffs. I just picked up my AirPods and they're trying to connect. Monitor, bro. Waller also said, my job is about the labor market and it's not good. I should see downward pressure on mortgages if the Fed continues to cut the policy rate. Inflation is about 2.5% ex tariffs. If loose financial conditions are going to cause a boom, it should be seen in the labor market, and so far it isn't. My job, a lot of AI spending, sectoral reallocation, data from all sources telling the story of a weak jobs market. May see GDP weaken at the end of this year. I think tariff stuff will settle out and be okay. The concern with AI is if it's structural change in labor demand, which the Fed's cyclical tools cannot address. And that's basically it right now. We also had Tesla. EVs hit 11% of U.S. auto sales in quarter three. Americans bought 438,500 EVs in quarter three, a record high as buyers rushed to use federal incentives before September 30th deadline. If you look at Tesla, Tesla's actually up a little bit on this, 436.50s. But again, EVs made up 11% of all new car sales, up from the previous 8.7% record, and this is per Cox Automotive. Tesla is the top seller, 41% of market share, down from 80% 4 years ago. GM rose to 15%. Strong sales of the Chevy Equinox The third best-selling EV of the quarter. 50% of EV purchases in early 2025 were made without federal incentives, according to Bloomberg. Gold now pulling back a little bit. Look at this. Dipping some. Waller said he had a good interview with Bessent for the Fed chair role. Again, like I said, I think it's going to be Waller. I think it's going to be Waller, maybe Bowman. Yeah, NASDAQ up. Gold down a little bit, but been breaking all-time highs this morning. Tesla still rising here. Again, we had TSM earnings earlier. TSM's up slightly from the earnings, though. I still think it's buy the rumor, sell the news. But if you look at TSM, it's only at 310s. Earnings came out. It was at 309, right? So 0.3% or whatever that is. Gold, 42.56. India needs rare earth minerals that are super hard for USA, but easy to get them overseas. Yeah. Oil back red on the day. It's at 58.70s. Try to buy this up again. And this is a challenge account, by the way, guys. So, you're already green on the day. Hey, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. We appreciate you supporting the stream. We got 600 here already. It's not even 8 a.m. yet. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much, guys. And we appreciate it. We do have Philly Fed Index data coming out today, so we will be covering that when it drops. It's expected today. Philly Fed Index, that's 8.6. Last time was 23.2. I mean, here's a drop. We don't really love to see it, but we're down $35, so we're up. Yeah, you just need the infrastructure for that type of stuff. And again, we had a bunch of news come out this morning. Again, Schwab earnings are out. EU Defense Commission says defense roadmap implies Europe is going to invest $6 trillion by 35. We had Charles Schwab earnings come out better than expected. Guidance, I think they're up. Go. Gold bouncing back. Looking gold is at 42.58. Looking at our poll numbers, we asked that our yield's going to say, do yields hold below 4% ahead of this month's FOMC meeting? 60% say yes, 34% say no. ECI will be remembered this month. Market might be in for TSM at great earnings, only a lot of gravity. Is it up 2%? It might be up 2% in pre-market. I'm talking about since the earnings came out early this morning. So TSM earnings dropped right here at basically 310. We're at 310.80s. So. Yeah, I'm trying to sit here waiting. I know it might be a little greedy to be bullish here, but it'll be all right either way. What's your favorite stock to buy this morning? Let me know in chat. Curious. My portfolio looking like. I'm pretty sure my portfolio is pretty green. Yeah. Yeah, it is. We're up really nice at Hams. Home Depot. SoFi. Target. And there we go. Probably add a little bit to this. Kind of fly sideways though. The range is small, so I'm gonna let it go up a little bit more. I'll probably add to it if it does, but we have one mini contract here. Robinhood. It's up to 135. So what a wild move here. PRAX, whatever this is. Kind of a crazy run too. Palantir, Nvidia, Amazon, and Google. Yeah, so Prax is up after late stage trial success for movement disorder therapy. Yeah, I mean, I'm green in this right here. I just don't know what I should do. Not super green. We'll hold it break even now. We're already green on the day. Break even. Right back up. Yeah, Google up a decent amount today. 16. Gold pulling back some, but still been breaking some highs most of the morning. Bank of New York Mellon listed earnings just now. Yeah, where's AMD at this morning? AMD's been one of the wild stocks. It's technically green, but man, it's at 240s, all-time high 244s. It's basically a couple percent away from that right now. Why do I think the market will go down today? Does the market go up or down, chat? Let me know. Today, Procter & Gamble. Problem with it is that it's on October. Maybe it'll do well when other companies don't, but downtrending a little bit too long. Catching up to AMD. Yeah. Nasdaq slowing down here. We're chopping here. We don't really have any data to guide us either, and so it's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and schedule the stream. We do have the Philly Fed index. I'm gonna cut this here. It might bounce. We're still green on the day. If you look at it. But Nvidia, where's Nvidia at? I know, like, Nvidia started to dip, but it's up again today. But yeah, it hit under 180s for a little while. At 195's way over here. Go, and now it's back up to 180s, but still pretty big ways away. CPI is not coming out today. PPI is not coming out today. Again, you got some people telling people that PPI comes out today and that the labor report tomorrow comes out. None of that stuff is happening. Government shut down. We don't get economic data. The only economic data they're bringing back this month so far is CPI inflation next Friday. We're getting CPI inflation for last month, right? That's the only economic report we're really getting. The only government economic report. Like today, we got the Philly Fed survey, which is coming out, which is by the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia. So, by the Fed of Philadelphia, I should say. And so, that's the only data we're getting today in terms of U.S. economic data. And we're covering that. But we don't get PPI today. We don't get the labor report tomorrow. We don't get any of that stuff. We don't get jobless claims today. None of that stuff's coming out. The government shut down. NVIDIA, big institutional sell-off a minute before the open. Yeah. You think you're smart until you got to spell Philadelphia. That's about it, right? Yeah. Good. We got it at 8:30. Yeah, maybe I should have held my long. I might buy it again here, but or no, never mind. Buying this. Too flat. No, I didn't hear about that, Lee. Yeah, I'm looking to see who speaks today, but again, I'm pretty sure. We get Bowman speaking at 10 a.m. Ron already spoke, but he says he's scheduled to speak again. He might have already spoken. Waller's supposed to speak, but I'm pretty sure Market Watch has not been accurate lately. Yeah, we got the Philly Fed. We got Bowman. Barkin's supposed to speak at 7 a.m., which is right now. We'll see if Barkin starts this. Does the president have an announcement at 3 p.m.? Yeah, I'm sure what he does. The Oval Office, he has an Oval Office in it. I'm showing he does, but let me know what you guys see. Again, NVIDIA stock is up. TSM giving them a little bit of a boost. TSM did drop earnings today, and they're up a little bit, but NVIDIA is benefiting from it as well. NVIDIA, though, guys, again, came all the way down to under 180s yesterday. We're kind of nervous. Gold, again, been breaking all-time highs. Bitcoin back up to 112s, which is good. Had this big buy up here at the bottom. Salesforce, I do not see much future for Salesforce with AI automation. Yeah, Bitcoin is starting to push. Starting to get hooked on this channel. Hey, thank you, DD. Appreciate it. VTech news. Is that like VTech? Like valve timing, electronic control? I was a JDM guy, you know. So. Good old VTech, man. 2000s are fun. Best channel ever for daily news. Hey, thank you. We appreciate it. We try, you know. We start the stream early and cover all the stuff that goes on. Again, I'm sorry, guys, but the market's kind of boring right now. I might still try to buy this dip and use a risk level of like here. Be like 55s, 54s. I use 54.75 right here. Try to use a 1-to-1 ratio of about right here. Take profit. We'll see. All right, guys. Are you guys more bull or bears right now in this market? Maybe I should do a poll on that. Again, we did a poll asking, well, 10-year yields is just hold below 4%. 67% say yes. Are you bullish or bearish right now, chat? Okay, let's see if Moran's speaking right now. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer says U.S. to do more on rare earths. Sure, rare earth stocks probably pumping up still. No? Just as they could be. USAR pulled all the way back from 44 down to 35.60s. Thermo Fisher is going to use OpenAI tools to boost drug development. I think that's one of the more interesting sectors we're going to see come out. Greer said the U.S. is going to do more rare earths. China taking action as if it wants to decouple. Again, Goldman Sachs posted that AI investment levels are sustainable. Said rising AI capex isn't a concern, arguing investment levels are sustainable despite market worries. Why AI development are boosting productivity. Unlocking gains requires more compute power as models grow and AI spending remains a small share of US GDP. And while winners are uncertain, the tech backdrop supports continued investment. Maybe. Let me know if you like this music more. This is like the oldest part of my playlist. A little bit more calm. It's good. And Salesforce and Google are expanding their partnership. Look at this drop. I mean, luckily, again, this is a challenge account. Two names are looking for U.S. investment grade debt today, according to Bloomberg. Greer says China actions as if it wants to decouple. Let me see if this drop is related to something. That's a big pullback already. See if that's what this is. IMF's managing director Georgieva says the global economy is excessively imbalanced. Barkin says there have been a noticeable shift in the job market. Executives note lots of applications for every position. Greer says the U.S. to do more. All right, so I just got stopped out on whatever this catalyst was. I'll put my other account. This was a challenge account, by the way. Like I said many times, so it's not the end of the world, but you don't love to see it, that's for sure. That's a big red candle here. Barkin, again, noticeable shift in the job market. Executives note there are lots of applications for every position. If they're saying anything else that might influence. Georgieva says countries must reduce debt, rely more on domestic sources of revenue. Look at the turn here in markets. I mean, it looks weak for sure. Let's see what else. Barkin says there's been a noticeable shift. We already got that. U.S. businesses are not hiring or firing, he says. Yeah, look at this drop here, guys. This is something big. Yeah, is this from Greer speaking? Again. Arkin is also speaking. Noticeable shift in job market with executive note. Lots of applications, every position. Businesses are not hiring or firing. And then IMF's managing director Georgieva says the global economy is excessively imbalanced. What a drop, though. Kind of a scary drop here. I got another combine. I'm just gonna get here. Bill Holdings expands board and announces cooperation with activist investor. What a drop, though. Again, we got 20 minutes. We got what a drop. See if we hold. I think 25,000 is below us. I think that's pretty relevant here. Bassett really did it yesterday. Yeah, I mean, Bassett basically said what we thought he would say. So again, Georgieva says countries with excessive deficits like the US need to reduce fiscal deficits and incentivize private savings. Again, Barkin says demand remains solid, particularly among those with higher incomes. That the labor demand and supply is shrinking at the same time. Again, he said essentially that there's been a noticeable shift in the job market. Executives note lots of applications for every position. Labor demand and supply shrinking at the same time. Essentially what he said. Getting gold getting closer to these all-time high levels here. Gold. %33% shutdown extends until the 11/16 plus. Bro, I hope not, dude. I would much rather the government shutdown not last 45 plus days. You know? I would love for it to not last that long. I would love to wake up one morning and they're like, hey, the government shutdown's over. I think we're going to continue trying to vote, but the problem is, like, okay. And I've seen different things swirling around about why the shutdown is here, and it's hard to figure out what is true and what is not in politics. And I'm very neutral politically. From my understanding, the Repubs just want to get the government back running and then figure everything else back out, right? The Dems want Affordable Care Act subsidies and a bunch of other stuff, or they're not going to approve, or they're not going to, you know, vote to resume the government. And so both sides are really digging their heels in with it, to be honest. Neither side wants to budge, and it's not looking incredibly optimistic. We do get the House back. Let me see when the House is back. I was talking this. Let's see when the House comes back. Yeah, so the U.S. House is officially scheduled to return Friday, October 17th, tomorrow, Eastern time at 2 p.m. Senate is stuck, multiple times failed. Get it done. Yeah, so Greer did say some stuff. Barkin says Fed is seeing a lot less data trying to feel the way through. Barkin said consumers are spending, but they are not as flush as in recent years and are making choices. Barkin said productivity seems to be increasing, could offset cost pressures. Says productivity growth improving significantly. It's clear that businesses are planning to pass along what tariffs they can. Yeah, Canadian housing starts annualized just came out at 279K versus 255K expected. Again, we do have the Philadelphia Fed Index dropping in 14 minutes. I'll put a timer up. We got some data. I'm excited. What kind of data? We got something though. $13 here, chat. 13 minutes. We got something. Better than nothing, I guess. Barkin's still speaking. Greer said U.S. and Canada talked about Keystone Pipeline. Barkin also said private sector economic data is helpful but not broad-ranging, essentially pushing to get the government shutdown resumed, or get the government shutdown ending. Greer says U.S.-Canada talked about Keystone Pipeline. Barkin's basically complaining about data not being here. If the 200 exponential at 2550 does anything, the level I'm on right here. Yeah, I mean, both sides are going to want to get a deal done. It just, you know, whether they will is a different story, though. Greer says U.S. and Canada. Okay, we already covered that. And NASDAQ, big dip on what Greer and Barkin are saying. IMF's Georgieva says investment in AI boom is expected to contribute between 0.1 and 0.8% global growth. And gold still close to all-time highs. But we are kind of chopping a lot the last few minutes, except for big bursts from news. Yeah, not feeling good on the market. I don't think it's going to crash. Just don't want to lose what I've earned. I get it. I think a lot of people have seen that. Like, we've had some crazy gains over the last year. Last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, really. We see some crazy runs in markets. AI boom was here. Nvidia made crazy runs. A lot of stuff did crazy stuff. And now we're at the point where people have made so much money from this stuff that they're fearful of corrections in the market. They're fearful of losing what they've earned. They've already planned out what they're going to do with it and all this different stuff. And they, you know, now they're fearful of corrections. Somebody said this is the most obvious market top of all time. I don't get how anyone can be bullish. Yeah, but you also have to understand, sometimes when people think it's the top, the market ends up ripping past it and continuing up and up and up and up. So just because you think it's the top and just because a lot of people think it's the top does not mean it's the top. Top might be in 4 years from now, you know, and we might go up another 50% more or more during that 4-year period. And so with that, you know, you got to understand nothing's definitive. Nobody knows for sure. And I would say generally when most of the market thinks one thing's going to happen, sometimes the opposite happens. And so I think that's kind of where we are now, where we could be at the top. We also might not. I think it's pretty ambiguous at this point in time. I think a lot of people think things are overvalued, but doesn't necessarily mean we're going to pull back and correct. I think a small correction would be the healthiest thing to get in markets right now, to be honest. Like, I've talked about this many times. Personally, I think a small correction is the best case that we can get. And when I say small, I mean like a 7% correction, 8% correction. Not a huge market crash, but just like a correction, stabilize, then try to continue up. I think that's a better move than up, 40% drop, you know. And so that's kind of where I'm at. What do you guys think? I'm showing it's 3 p.m. Eastern time, but I don't know. I don't know what he's scheduled to speak about. If he talks about China, markets might. Man, I'm trying to predict the market. Going to get a fourth quarter pump. Yeah, I'm in target. We're up a really nice percentage. Target like 8% relative to where we entered. Average price is 86 for me at 91s. So we're up about 7-8%, whatever that percentage is, something like that. Right, for sure. One tweet could change it, one post could change it, one quote could change it. Economic report could change it, although we're not really getting most of them. I'm out of all long-term positions. Yeah, guys, we got 8 minutes until the Philly Fed Index comes out. We'll see what it shows, man. We got some economic data today. It's not big economic data necessarily, but it is a 3-star event. We'll see if that holds. It causes some sway in markets. I'm not sure. We're going to pump today, don't short. Yeah, I mean, I don't think either outcome is necessarily given today. I think you just got to wait and see. I think right now, markets are up big, down big, close to all-time highs. So I think there is some upward edge. But it doesn't mean that we're going to go up. Up, Sam. Waiting for it to drop. Buy more or short? Bull run is definitely not over with AI expansion. I agree. If markets get a minor correction, money on sideline is begging to be put to work. Yeah, for sure. 100%. I agree. I think that's the best case scenario. Small pullback. Lav, we don't get PPI today, brother. PPI is not coming out today, dude. Government shut down. BLS is shut down. CPI was supposed to come out yesterday and it didn't, right? It's now coming out next Friday, but PPI is not coming out at all until the government resumes. Trust me, I love economic data. I cover economic data. We get thousands of people tuning into the stream because I cover economic data, but it ain't coming out. PPI is not coming out today. Like PPI inflation is not releasing today, unfortunately. I wish it was. Trust me, if it was, I'd be hyping up the stream. We'd have thousands of people here. I'd be pumped up. I'd title my stream that. Unfortunately, it's not. Government's still shut down. It's looking like the government's going to be shut down for 40 plus days. Unfortunately, we are at day 16 right now. And trust me, I'm ready for this to end, The big question is, will my leg be healed or will the government still be shut down? Will my leg be healed by the time the government resumes? Let me know in chat right now. Will my MCL heal before the government resumes? Maybe I should do a poll on that. But again, we got 6 minutes left. 6 minutes left. All right, NASDAQ back up a little bit here. There's that 200 exponential. Big rejection right there. Remember, we talked about that 2550 level. Look at that level. Top 3 greatest level of all time right there. Look at that. You get a whole $1.50 level, 200 exponential moving average level. Look at that drop. Top 3 greatest level right there. Bro, PPI is coming in 5 minutes. Why do you think that, Slab? CPI was originally scheduled to come out. But again, the government is closed. You're assuming the original government deadline. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, a government entity, supposed to release PPI inflation. Fortunately, the government is closed, and we don't really have anybody to release it. I hope it does come out today, to be honest, but it's not going to. We got the Philly Fed Index dropping in 4 minutes. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, the government is closed, Slav. The government is closed, sir. We got Philly Fed Index data coming out today. Expected at 8.6. Last time was 23.2. So it'd be wild if they did release PPI, but they said it wasn't coming out. Again, it's expected at 8 points. We got 3 minutes left for it. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're caught up. Expected at 8.6 for the Philly Fed Index. Previously, it showed up at what? Showed up at 23.2. All right, guys, here we go. We got Philly Fed Index. Philly Fed is the Federal Bank of Philadelphia. So Philly Fed data is coming out because that's an independent entity government. PPI is not coming out. Not that again, I hope it does. Listen, PPI was originally scheduled for today. But the government's closed. CPI was originally scheduled for yesterday, right? If they're going to push CPI back all the way to next Friday, why would they release PPI inflation on its originally scheduled date? That doesn't make any sense to me. But again, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I'll be surprised if it does. All right, guys, here we go. Minute and a half. Dude, if PPI comes out today, I'll kind of be mad. I would have scheduled my stream for it. I appreciate you guys. We still got over 1,000 here, but if it was a normal PPI release, we'd have like 2 or 3. It's all right. All right, guys, we got 1 minute. We'll see if I'm wrong. Again, the Philly Fed Index does release today, no matter what. Expected at 8.6. Previous was 23.2. Kind of gauges manufacturing, especially in the wake of the trade battles going on. I think it's relevant. We'll see if it moves markets. NASDAQ at 25.37. Everywhere I look, it says PPI is not coming out today. All right, here we go. 25 seconds. All right, guys, here we go. Here's the breaking truth of this. Will PPI come out today? Here we go. 10 seconds. Timer's a little early. That's okay. All right, and here's 8:30 right now. Okay, guys, there's 8:30. Did PPI show up today? Look at that move here. It could be the Philly Fed Index. Let me see. Philly Fed Index showed up at negative 12.8. Negative 12.8 versus 8.6. Look at that move, though. That is a big move, honestly. I don't see PPI at all, though. Let me make sure. Now y'all got me questioning it. That's a move, though. Look at that candle. Let me check the site. Probably the most to do it. Yeah, I'm not showing the data's out for PPI. I think that's just the Philly Fed Index showing up super negative, maybe. Yeah, the Philly Fed Index is out. I think that's just what moved things. That was a big move for Philly Fed Index, though. Look at that. It looked like a PPI move, but I don't see PPI anywhere. Yeah, I don't think PPI is coming out today, guys. I would have seen it flash already. I'm pretty sure this is just the Philly Fed Index move, which showed a, again, Philly Fed Index showed negative 12.8 versus 8.5. PPI probably would have been a larger move. So the range was pretty small this morning anyway. PPI probably would have been a bigger move than, you know, and we would have already seen it. If it was coming out at 8:30 for PPI, we'd have already seen it flash somewhere. Right, the reason nobody has the data is because PPI didn't come out today. Make sure I'm not eating my words here. So again, retail sales isn't coming out today. I think. Okay. Yeah, we're sensitive to the only data we're getting here. Yeah, lack of data makes the Philly Fed Index is not really the biggest catalyst, but because we don't have PPI, we don't have CPI, we don't have retail sales, we don't have jobless claims, we don't have the labor report. It moved markets in a big way. It wasn't a PPI move. A PPI move is generally much bigger than this. Like, again, from somebody, I've covered all the economic data for years. I know there's a lot of people that try to cover it now. I've covered it for years. PPI is generally a bigger move than this. Not always. But this is just a Philly Fed Index move. And again, the Philly Fed Index, I will put the data up on screen. We posted negative 12.8 Philadelphia Fed Business Index. Here's the data right here. I'll put it up on the bottom of the screen. Yeah, like I said, guys, for all those that said PPI is coming out, where you at? What happened? Again, remember, I know what I'm talking about. You're welcome for telling you the truth. Again, what I think is kind of diluting everybody here, if I'm being honest. What I think is kind of diluting things is that you got a bunch of bots and a bunch of small-time people trying to post about like economic data and all this stuff, but they don't really understand or follow it or know what's going on. They're just doing it to get attention on social media. I see it a lot on X.com, right? And they're out here telling everybody that all this stuff's coming out today, but not. So watch it come out today and me just eat my words, but all right. So again, Philly Fed negative 12.8. They expected like 10, so a little bit worse than expected. Negative 12.8. Is bullish or bearish? I mean, markets are interpreting it as bullish. It was negative, weak manufacturing data. Negative 12.8 for the business index. It was weak, but markets are going up anyway, looks like. Yeah, it helps support a rate cut, maybe. I think if we look at yields, we can see how yields are responding to this. Yields are down from this, right? Shows weakness, contractions. Business and manufacturing. Like here's yields. We can look at a one-day chart to see it, but yeah, yields are dropping from this. So gold's pushing up, NASDAQ pushing up here. Gold is running up. Look at gold. Gold just broke all-time highs again. Yeah, I saw the PLTR news. Trust me, I wish we were getting data, man. I wish we had jobless claims every Thursday at least. So now we're pulling back. Sometimes the first move is the wrong move with this type of stuff too. So let's see if we hold down here now. Trying to pull back quick here. Gold over 42.66.10s. Look at gold on the right, bottom right. Gold flushing. This is probably my favorite song on the playlist. I like this one. Yeah, gold, man. Again, I think what's crazy with how much gold is moving, look at the moves gold has made. I talked about this earlier. Gold has had like 11 red days in 2 months. Right, out of 40. That's a wild number. If you look at gold. $42.66. $42.66.10s for gold. NASDAQ pushing up still. Yeah. Yeah, check out TopStat. Beautiful way. If you want to learn to day trade, don't fund your own thousands of dollars and probably lose it, especially if you're new. Instead, try this. It limits your risk. You risk 50 bucks. If you fail, it's not the end of the world. If you pass it, 90% split, similar to funding your own account. Pay out millions, fund thousands. Zero commission on TopStat X. No PDT rule. Get you around the PDT rule. Day trading index futures is very similar to day trading equities. Great way to learn. Most day traders lose. You can now reset funded accounts with the same rules as their normal funded accounts as well. Again, they're a sponsor, but I'm biased. I get paid by them. Just genuinely useful. NASDAQ still holding here. Look at this. Look at NVIDIA. Guys, NVIDIA up to 182.50s. Gold got up to 42.66.80. It's now dipping down a little bit, but the NASDAQ is pushing. Yeah, I want to see what NVIDIA does, man. NVIDIA's made some swings. Look at gold now, guys. Wow. Let's check. Hold on. IMF's Georgieva encourages India to pursue greater trade integration with partners, seeing regional trade integration growing. The rest of the world has not followed U.S. tariffs so far. Only 3 of 191 IMF members have forcefully on tariffs. Look at gold here, guys. Up to 42.60s, all the way down to 45s. That's a big retreat. This is my old playlist. Look at the NASDAQ, guys. Broke highs of the day. Up to 25,087.25s. New high of the day. Gold with a large pullback here. Look at this pullback on gold. Again, AMD is going to participate in upcoming investor conferences. To them. Still down on the day, though. And NASDAQ close out highs of the day. NASDAQ's pretty close to all-time highs realistically here. Like, it's a couple $100 away from all-time highs. Let's see if it holds. You guys red or green so far today? Looking at our poll, 67% think 10 years hold below 4%. Yields hold below 4% ahead of this month's FOMC. Do another poll. When will the market top? When will the market hit its top? Now? By end of year? Next year? Something else? Go. I love you. Good day. Make sure your brother comes in here. Yeah, rare earths, rare minerals, stocks pumping up. NASDAQ still at all-time highs. Not all-time highs. Close to all-time highs. A couple $100 away. Still at highs of the day. $39%, 38% see next year. Hey, bud. Love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good day, dude. NASDAQ breaking all-time high, or breaking highs of the day at 25,093. We go up forever. Yeah, gold had a big correction. Not a huge one though, but not small either necessarily. Yeah, I mean, MU's up to $200 a share, big psychological level. I'm curious to see what it does. It's up big on the day from 191s to 199.20s. NASDAQ still breaking all-time, keep saying all-time highs, still breaking highs of the day here. Look at this. QE should help crypto. Yeah, but we're not going to do QE, right? Not necessarily. We might end QT. Restarting the expansion of the Fed's balance sheet is a different thing, though. It might come sooner than later, but usually they do QE when a little bit more desperate of a thing. Market will top 2028. I read an article yesterday that QT has officially ended. That's not true. Not from my understanding, that's not true. Powell spoke the day before yesterday. When he spoke, he said that we could see QT ending within the next couple of months. I think it was like pretty close to verbatim of what he said. But it's not ending now. It might end in a couple months. Maybe I'm wrong. QT never ends, it only pauses. I recently heard something similar regarding the market being so far up ahead of it because of inflation and not because of real value. After Q2 be neutral. Yeah, I think we're gonna be neutral. They would do QE with economic stimulation. QE is essentially when the Federal Reserve buys up they create online money, and then they use that online money to buy up a bunch of bonds and MBSs, right? Expanding their balance sheet by adding more and more bonds and MBSs. It injects liquidity into those markets, helps bring interest rates down in a faster way, but the consequences of inflation, they generally restrict it to only when it's a more dire situation in terms of economics, the labor market, and GDP and everything like that. And so if we start trending negative GDP, we start like consistently showing weaker and weaker and weaker labor reports. That's a situation where the Fed might print, but it's not necessarily going to happen just because they're ending quantitative tightening. It could, but I don't think so. I think crypto people really want it right now because they think it's going to boost their altcoins, but not necessarily going to happen. Yeah. News is not coming out, sir. What news? You mean PPI inflation? Nope. Government shut down. Again, IMF's Georgieva says impacts of tariffs on U.S. has been muted thus far. Yield on UK 30-year gilt has fallen. He says overall inflation is trending down with some differences around the world. Says hope to come up with a program for Lebanon. Peace would benefit the overseas Middle East region. And yeah, that's basically all we're getting so far. Again, BNP Paribas downgraded Tesla. He's a 29% drop with a 307 price target. Gold still breaking all-time highs, just broke all-time highs. And then dipped pretty heavily though. NASDAQ close to highs of the day here, bouncing at this level. 92s. Look at this 100 level right here. Big psychological level, makes sense. I think the top will be in whenever we get the data back. See. Georgieva says if there's a flare-up of trade tensions, that would have negative impact. Yeah. Of course it would. You're telling me trade tensions causes potentially negative impacts? Alright, NVIDIA up to 182.5s. 182.5s. I appreciate it, Doctor. Yeah, y'all hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. Been kind of boring, bro. We don't have any economic data to cover. We still had over 1,000 here for the report, and I appreciate you guys. But... man, no data. What's the term, Marco? Are you more bearish or long on gold today? Just today? I'm more long. I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm not an investment professional, not financial advice, but I think because we're so close to all-time highs, and I think because we've only seen 11 red days in the last 2 months, which is roughly 40 trading days, I think there's more edge on the long side right now, but it could change any moment and we could just turn downside fast, and so nothing's risk-free. But I think there's slightly more edge on the long side just because of the position we're in gold relative to all-time highs. I think we broke all-time highs numerous times today. We've been pushing up a lot. We've only had 11 red days in the last 2 months, and so until that train stops, so yeah. Yeah, the Philly Fed Index actually had this big, like this was the Philly Fed Index right here. You know, kind of see how much, like we did have a big, you know, I think what happened is some of the algorithms probably thought PPI was coming out, is my guess. Like I think some of the algos thought PPI was coming out, and so they started basing trades around potential moves. And that's what caused these swings. And then when everybody realized it wasn't, it was just kind of like, okay, back to normal. Or you could also argue the story there is that we had much more negative of a number, and that is more enabling of rate cuts. You know, you could probably argue that story as well. And so markets reacted positively to it. Gold tops doesn't necessarily mean equities top 2. No, not necessarily. All right, I don't know why I'm yawning so much this morning. All right, IMF head praises Canada's changes to budget. The Chinese embassy in the UK urges UK side to stop sabotaging bilateral ties. My issue with some of these financial analysts is that they say really obvious things. You know? Gold looking bearish again. Yeah, I mean, gold had this big red candle. Sometimes you can kind of piggyback off of these type of moves and go in the direction of the candle. But for me, gold's a little bit too close to all-time highs. I'm worried people are just going to buy this up and we're going to go like this and test. Wait, y'all can't see it. Sorry, I'm drawing it on the... yeah, gold had this big red candle. Sometimes you get like continuation moves like this. But what I'm worried about is that people are just going to buy this move up and we're going to do something like this. And so I'm not really interested in shorting gold necessarily right now. I think it's a little risky, but you know, it could certainly drop. I'm just not. Nasdaq's still pretty close to highs of the day though. Hey, thank you, V. Hey, good luck, brother. Go, Ray. Or when the U.S. reschedules cannabis, it's just a matter of, not a matter of if, just when. If, just when. Yeah, but again, I'm not the most optimistic about that, you know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not the most optimistic. Too much lobbying against it, to be honest. Like, there's three major groups that lobby against it. Pharmaceutical industry certainly lobbies against it. They don't want it legalized because it's gonna render a lot of their stuff unnecessary or obsolete. You know? That's number one. Right? Probably the biggest lobbying group against it. The second group is law enforcement. You know, they don't want to lose the money that they get prosecuting people for it. They certainly don't want it legalized either. And then the third group is the prison industry. They don't want to lose those subsidies either. They're like, all of those groups lobby against it, unfortunately. That's a lot of big money flowing against it. And so, you know, you get a lot of politicians that basically say, yeah, if I get elected, I'm gonna legalize it. And then they just don't, you know. Usually that PAC money starts flowing in from the groups I just mentioned, and then never really hear about it again. This happens from both political sides. It's not just one. And yeah, I'm not optimistic about cannabis stocks because of it. You know, I've been trading long enough to remember 2018. 2018, we had a big cannabis boom. Tilray hit $300 a share. Let's put that into perspective. That was the big boom. Everybody's like, oh, legalization's coming, legalization's coming. And then nothing happened. their speech in 10 minutes, or some people are saying it's in 5 minutes for the president. I don't know. Do y'all see a speech in 5 minutes? Where? I don't see it. Yeah, from my understanding, it's at 3 p.m. today, so I don't think it's right now. I don't think it's at 9 a.m. I think we do have some people speaking at 9 a.m. scheduled at least. I'm showing Stephen Moran and Waller speaking, but they kind of already spoke earlier, so I think they might have just spoken earlier, and we're not going to hear him again since we already had Moran speaking, and we already had Waller speaking about stuff. I don't see any scheduled time. I think if he is speaking, it's about Middle East stuff. Oh, wait. Hold on.
I mean, even the enemies came out and totally endorsed it. Everybody, I've never seen anything like it. Nobody's seen anything like it. And just as we are forging peace and stability abroad, we're also restoring peace and safety and stability.
Yeah, I mean, he's speaking right now. I don't think he's speaking about anything market moving necessarily. I think he's talking about crime. From my understanding, it's just on Fox. But I think it's just on crime. He's talking about FBI's crime crackdown is what I think. But I'll cover the quotes here. Yeah, he's talking about summer crime crackdown is essentially what he's talking about. That it had a big impact. NASDAQ pulling back here after rejecting this 100 level, this 25 100 level. Gold's flat. Nvidia's up, but pulling back with everything too. Liquid today. Liquid's always good, brother. Liquid was always good. Not always good. Sometimes it's not good, but still. John will screen talking that is anywhere near true or makes sense. You mean I don't? I mean, look, he's talking about crime. What I screen for is market relevance. If he's talking about insignificant things related to the market, I'm probably not going to cover it because my stream's about economics, markets, finance. So I have to kind of limit it to that type of stuff. And look, I'm not picking sides. The president certainly speaks about a lot of other things that I don't, it's not worth putting on the stream. Hey, thank you, Lee. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna start a fund. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right, gold coming back up here. Look at gold. Gold's coming up at 42.56 right now for gold. Yeah, so again, I'm hanging out here. Gold's starting to edge higher here. Yeah, he's still talking about crime in Washington, D.C. Now he's talking about Chicago. See what gold does. Gold had this big move up. It's getting pretty close to all-time highs. Still talking about DC here. NASDAQ coming down still. Is it a buy the dip in the NASDAQ here? See if gold ranges or what happens right now. I'm worried about gold here. I'm gonna... He's still talking about crime. Look at the NASDAQ come back down here. Hey, thank you, Drop. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you, sir. AMD's up a lot, brother. AMD's up a lot. Waiting for a tweet to move markets a good trading strategy. I don't know. Still talking about crime. Gold's still pushing up here, guys. Look at gold. Talk about San Francisco next. Look at gold. Old Faithful? Yeah, I mean, it works until it doesn't, though. That's the only thing I'm worried about here. Honestly, it's kind of flat right now. We got 25 minutes until the market opens. All right, NASDAQ starting to come back up here. Let's watch 25.75 right here. I think 25.75 is probably pretty relevant. Again, President's just saying stuff about crime. I'm going to put the music back on. 900 billion a year in interest. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to talk about that. I really don't know. He could. If he does, y'all let me know. I wish it had closed. Let me see if I can find one. Closed captioning. Problem is people like use a bunch of clickbait when they talk about things. A lot of the big news channels, it's hard to figure out where the actual one is. Dude, gold is actually just chopping sideways right now. Let's see if the push-up continues. Yeah, Greer and Bassett did speak. Or Bassett spoke yesterday. Again, what Bassett does generally is just Bassett's dovish, right? So like anytime Bassett speaks, he's usually going to be dovish. Just like the president's dovish. President wants rate cuts, right? So they're going to be dovish. Others are a little bit more. They can go either way. Let's see if gold starts heading up here. We're kind of choppy with gold, though. Gold continues to push up. I'm checking what he says here, guys. He's just not really saying anything. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking up news. He's not really saying anything. So Lyft is opening new offices in Toronto. OpenAI could spend more on servers with Oracle than Microsoft in 2030. Microsoft also announced new wave of updates to turn all Windows 11 PCs into AI-powered devices led by Copilot integration. Got that going on right here. Yeah, I don't know if either one of them. Fed Moran says monetary policy is too tight, makes U.S. economy more brittle to shocks like recent change with China and rare earths. So Moran's speaking right now. So Moran is speaking right now. Yeah, for sure, Jeremy. Gold's chopping sideways though. Let's see how it behaves now. Look at this big pop up in gold. Yeah, we're going to be day trading the opening bell live. No, there was no PPI today. PPI inflation. Again, guys, PPI inflation does not come out when the government's closed. Neither does CPI inflation, although they did bring people back. Moran says makes U.S. economy more brittle to shocks like recent change with China. He said the longer policy stays restrictive, the greater the downside. Economy is in pretty good place, but has new risks. Monetary policy is too tight. Waller's also speaking inflation on path to 2%, not a barrier to rate cuts. The rate outlook after October is dependent on the labor market. The Waller speaking, Moran is speaking. Waller said, I see a slower path of rate cuts if GDP holds up or job market speeds up. Labor market sending clear warnings. Fed should be ready to act. Main focus now is on the state of the job market. And I personally think Waller's going to be the next chairman. Personally, I think Waller's going to be the next chairman. I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing, but I'm assuming Waller's going to be the next chairman. Definitely not going to be Kevin O'Leary. We're at 4260s. If gold breaks all-time highs again. Gold broke all-time highs, look at this, and then came right back down, and now it's kind of edging up like I was worried about. Not really making any big significant moves, and the NASDAQ had a relatively decent pullback here as well. 200 exponentials right there, so. But gold, all-time highs are right here for gold. Yeah, I saw the partner up news. Yeah, let's see if the crazy market swings continue into today. Again, Jim Cramer said rare earths. Is it China against the US or China against the world? A quickly developing thesis. Gotta watch what he says. Moran says the policy has gotten about 1.5 percentage points tighter this year due to a rapid rise in the neutral rate. 25 basis point cut is too slow a pace, according to Moran. Remember, Moran is the newest one, so he's gonna be dovish. Essentially, is what he's gonna be. Again, Georgieva says tariff shock is not as dramatic as feared in April. We're heading into the opening bell in 15 minutes here. Yeah, he's going to be dovish. I told you, Slav. I tried to tell you, brother. PPI's not coming out today, dude. Government shut down, bro. Listen, I wanted to resume more than anybody, brother. Trust me, you know. Trust me, I wanted to resume faster than anybody. Pawn sent me this the other day. I'm gonna roll in. Hold on. I'll find it. Yeah. Again, for selfish reasons, I want the reports to come back. My channel gets thousands of views from these reports. You know? I'm right there with you, brother. I want them to come back too. You know? But again, at this point in time, it's getting stretched out. Government shut down for 16 days at this point in time. And it doesn't look like it's going to resume anytime soon, right? It's looking like it's going to be November plus for the resumption of the federal government. And so I'm not happy about it, trust me. But, you know, it is what it is. These things happen. I expect 5 rate cuts by midterms. November? Bet is looking good. 1,000-1. What's your bet? 1,000-1. What, chef? Yeah, dude. Maybe next year. Yeah, so you're talking about November next year. 5 rate cuts. Yeah, the House is supposed to come back tomorrow. Maybe they can force it through, but I don't know. December? I don't know, brother. December would be a, what, 60-day shutdown? It's looking more and more likely. 1,000-1. What did Kevin on The Office say? He said, he was like, anytime you get 1,000-1 odds, you always take it. If you win that, call it the Kevin trade or something like that. Moran says we need rate cuts because of passive monetary policy tightening and improved inflation outlook. Economic activity is modest, according to Bank of England's man. Labor markets softening. Moran says decline in deficit this year is also a factor pushing neutral rate down. Over 10-year treasury yields. I hear they're falling down still. Oh no, they're actually elevated. Spiking up some here. Look. They're up some here. Look at this. 4.036%. Look at this spike. When was the spike? Yeah, yields are up. Gold's still pushing towards all-time highs again today, guys. Gold very close to all-time highs, about $3 away. I'm confused. PPI did not come out, sir. The government is shut down, Jeremy. Did PPI come out is a very vague question, though. They might be giving you last month's data. You know what I mean? So PPI did not come out. Government's closed. Bureau of Labor Statistics is not releasing it. Retail sales did not come out. Jobless claims did not come out. We don't even get the CPI data, which was scheduled. The original scheduled date was before PPI. It was supposed to come out yesterday. We didn't get that either. It's not coming out until next Friday. And so PPI not out. None of it came out. Philly Fed Index came out. Weaker than expected. NASDAQ ended up reacting positively to it. It was surprising how many people thought PPI was coming out today. I tried to tell people it wasn't coming out. They argued with me. Most of them have gone silent now. You know. Anyways, Nvidia back down to 182.20s. Gold at 42.62s. Yeah, it was on a bunch of different sources yesterday, like it was coming out, but it didn't. All right, guys, we got 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Let's see what the market brings us today. It's the opening bell. Again, government shutdown. I got less to talk about here. I don't know about gold. What's up, Tiny? All right, gold just broke all-time highs again. 42.62, 42.67 20s for gold. All-time highs. I don't know what I just did. All right, look at the NASDAQ turn. Gold breaking all-time highs. NASDAQ turning down back to the 200 exponential. Watch 2550s here. 2550s might hold. Again, guys, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. There's no PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, commodities. Very similar to day trading equities. $50 risk versus thousands, probably. If you lose your first account day trading like most day traders do. No PDT rule. Get you around the PDT rule as well. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, but genuinely useful. You can now reset funded accounts. There's the link. Check it out. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. I forgot to pin the last one. I think AMD is up a lot to a risky... like, AMD's up a risky amount. But it's close enough to all-time highs. It hit the last all-time high around the 9th. And so I think there's some, like, magnetism towards that level. But there's obviously risks as well with AMD. All right, guys, NASDAQ still coming down. Gold consistently breaking all-time highs again here. 42.67, almost $4,300 an ounce. Honestly, I think gold's the craziest looking thing right now. Gold, just to put this into perspective, man, gold. Look at gold right here. That's a wild move up. Have we seen similar things in history for gold? I don't think anywhere near this degree. In the late 2000s, we saw a big bull run on gold, where gold went from 680s all the way to 1500s or so, 2000 almost, but this is different. This is more parabolic for gold, to be honest. Look at this. Gold 42.69s here, still breaking all-time highs. There's 42.70s right here. Gold's still pushing. 5 minutes left. Now, I don't think it's like, look, if you look on like x.com, follow me on x.com at Beginner Trades. If you look at it, you just got a lot of people that don't really follow the US, right? Most of the time, the people telling you that PPI is coming out today, they might not be in the United States. They don't understand the government shutdown. They might not be following monetary policy news and economic news. They're just not really watching things. And so that's kind of what's going on, is this, a lot of people thought PPI coming out today. We even saw, like, I think, again, this could be from the Philly Fed Index, but I think this is just an algorithmic reaction to potential PPI coming out. Like, kind of like a strangle kind of strategy, if that makes sense, where they're profiting from the volatility and algorithms, assuming PPI comes out today, and so then when it didn't, the algorithm stopped and all normal. Big range today. Gold pulling back. NASDAQ now under the 200 exponential again. I'm watching this level right here, this 50 level. It's respected at a decent amount already today. And one of the things you just want to be really careful of in finance in general, guys, and I'm not even going to call out the sectors or the markets that I see this in, because really it's everywhere. But be careful with confirmation bias. You might want something to go up And that might make you overestimate the likelihood of it actually going up short term. Long term, it's a little bit safer to bet on certain things, and that's fine. Just be really careful. Like, again, people got liquidated in crypto because they were super over leveraged on an asset that moves up and down pretty big percentages. You know, it's not logical. Like, people get too optimistic. They want it to go up, they want it to break highs, and so they automatically assume it's going to. And that sets them up to lose their whole bankroll, you know? Just be very careful. Like, I see that a lot, not just in crypto. I see that everywhere. I see that, and I'm in Bitcoin. I want Bitcoin to go up. I see this in other markets too. So just be very careful. Hey, what's up, Corey? What's up, Angelo? All right, guys, we got 2.5 minutes. All right, Nasdaq's fading it a little bit into the bell here, guys. Look at this. Again, I'm watching this level. But it looks kind of weak here. Let's see what happens. Bounce. AMD still dropping. I remember this song. In quantum. Hey, what's up, Matt? Thank you, sir. I know a lot of people got liquidated in altcoins too. I understand. What I'm trying to say is don't over leverage. I know some of it was exchange glitches as well, which they're trying to pay back. I understand. My point is just don't over leverage into things. Don't think something has to happen short. Nothing has to happen short term. I guess that the overarching point is that nothing has to happen short. Nothing's definitive or absolute. Don't act like it is. If you do, you're setting yourself up to lose. All right, guys, here's the opening bell. Waller says it's a good thing for the Fed official to actively speak to the public. All right, here we go. "30 seconds here, guys. Let's see what the opening bell brings. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. You'll catch up to the stream. You guys green or red so far today? There's the bell. Gold's still close to all-time highs here. Nasdaq going a little bit higher now. Trying to get over that 200 EMA here. Rejecting it. Yeah, there's the bell. We're trying to get over that 200 exponential, rejecting it so far on a 1 minute chart. Gold's up there too, but still fighting our way back up. Right, there's a move. Look at 75s. Still too close to the bell. I gotta wait 4 minutes, 5 minutes to pass first. DMA, gold consolidating. Bounced right here at the 200 exponential. 74 rejected it. 75. Now it looks like we're fighting it back over it. AMD starting to head back up. Bitcoin's kind of stagnant. Go to watch Nvidia, Apple, Meta as well. Nasdaq's getting higher here. A little bit more interested in buying a dip now if we can get one before we break this high of the day, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it. And there's the test. And there's the high break. Big green candle at the opening bell. Waller said we'd be hurting if not for a decline in labor supply. It's very rare seeing falling labor supply and demand at the same time. Labor issues making weakness of labor demand. Oh, Waller speaking. Immigration shifts changing how to view job market. All right, liquidity grab over highs of the day now. Buy this dip here a little bit if I can. Risky. I'll buy this dip. Got one of my accounts. Oh, it's the NASDAQ. That's why y'all can't see it. I'm trading micros here. I'm not trading the regular NASDAQ. I'm good. Big bounce back up. Add to this a little bit here. It's risky to add, but that's all right. All right, we're going to take half off up there. A little bit more off right there. Yeah, definitely an interesting open. Nvidia's in a tight opening range. AMD's up though since the open, but kind of it's a little tight right now, to be honest. Hey, you as well, Tiny. And now we're dipping down here. Buy this. Based off of Nvidia trying to push up, but it's risky. Here we go. Here we go. Take half off. Hold the rest flat. Let it run a little bit, hopefully. Go. AMD push. There we go. Take that off right there. Gold moving up. It's at 42.65s. Look at AMD, guys. AMD back to green on the day. Nvidia's still pretty stagnant, though. Gold's stagnant, too. We do have the Atlanta Fed GDP now for Q3 coming out at 1 o'clock today. But that's it. European CPI early tomorrow morning. Industrial production and manufacturing production numbers tomorrow, maybe. We're starting to turn to the downside here in NASDAQ. Waller says the next Fed balance sheet issue is composition of balance sheet. So like state of what's in it, what's in their balance sheet. He said policy more restrictive for some groups than others. Fed is about at ample reserve levels. Kind of a flat open here, although Nvidia looks like it wants to make a run. I'm kind of bullish, but AMD pulling down a little bit as well. EU's Economy Commissioner Dombrovskis says G7 ministers agreed to diversify supply chains. I see a redder open here, but try to see a bigger drop. Yeah, I'm pretty green on most things today. But I don't think this range is necessarily easy. Lawler said a lot of space to change Fed forecasts. I personally have doubts whether the Fed should have September forecasts. I guess he's talking about the super likelihood of a rate cut next month, or this month. So this actually gone down. Odds of a rate cut have actually decreased from these Fed members speaking here if you look at this. So odds of a rate cut have gone down to 95.5 or 96.4 really. A couple percent decrease for 25 basis point odds, but still pretty likely, 95 to 5% likely. I think the big thing that might move this is next week's CPI report. So next week we are getting CPI inflation on Friday. Next week we get CPI inflation. So gold just broke all-time highs again. Looks like it wants 42.70s here for gold. Market's just kind of stagnant though, man. Gold pushing back up to that level here. Gold at highs again. Gold just hit 42.70. Tech is slow today. Gold just hit 42.71.50s. Next week's interesting too because we got big earnings. We got like Tesla earnings next week. This looks weak, but it doesn't mean it's going to be weak. A lot of the big tech stocks like AMD and Nvidia are still in a pretty tight opening range here. Apple dipped a lot at the open and then kind of rebounded back up right ahead of the open. Now it's kind of flat still. Meta, slightly green but flat. Google's up a lot. Google's up to 255s right now for Google. So Google is actually pretty close to all-time highs at 256.70, at 255.60s. So it's about $1.10 away from all-time highs for Google. Here's the NASDAQ breakdown here. Looks weak. To be honest, Nvidia's falling. AMD's falling. I mean, it's not going to get balled up and go sideways, though. MD dipping. Gold testing all-time highs again. Just broke it. 42.71, 70s, 80s for gold. NASDAQ with a big rebound, trapping a lot of the shorts that jumped in there. Let me make sure this isn't news driven. Fed's bar says stablecoins are unlikely to have bearing on monetary policy. It's not clear if more stablecoin legislation is required. Waller said amid political heat, just tries to do best job I can. Waller said would be good for the Fed to refrain from long run forecasts. A lot of space to change Fed forecasts. Gold's still breaking up. The big winner today, gold again. 42.74s right now for gold. I see you guys. Yeah, Corey. I mean, I think it's kind of a thing, man. Like, riches yell, wealth whispers, you know. And the really wealthy people don't want to look like targets, man. All right, guys. NASDAQ back up to close to the high of the day here, and again, the NASDAQ's pretty close to all-time highs, but the range is tight. The range is tight. Again, look at AMD and Nvidia push back up as well here, so very tight range. All right, there's the high of the day test here. I think we technically just broke highs of the day here. Again, the last time we broke lows of the open, we did a liquidity grab. Let's see what the highs give us here. Could continue in the range, or we could just start ripping up right now. Let's see what some of these tech stocks do. Gold pulling back a little bit after getting up to 42.74s. All right, guys, we just ripped past it, going up to 150 or 25, 125. It looks like we're gonna break all-time highs sometime in the next day. We're back up there again. Doesn't mean anything. The range could just be expanding some. Big green candle high of the day break again just now. We're back up to 25, 125s. I'll try to buy a little dip here. If we get one down to 100 is really what I would like 110. Close. There's 100. All right, we jumped in small. Take that off real quick. Top 3 greatest level ever right there, that 100. I mean, he's gonna hold. It might just fall back down, but the initial little bounce is what I wanted. Fall back more. All right, now we're back down. Level right here. Catch the same thing. Big drop. I cut a lot of this right here just to protect it. There we go. Bounces higher. All right, we're out. Got out just in time. Big red candle here. Waller says once supply chain disrupted, they may not come back to prior state. We've done pretty good in this funded account for the last month or two here. I'll show you guys some of the stats behind it right now. I'm not going to show you guys exactly how much I'm up or anything, but kind of it. September, mid-September, last 2 months. So not bad. We're green. You know, here's the actual like net daily P&L. We've been keeping it pretty tight here. Like we haven't been risking too much. We've had 1, 2, 5 red days, 5, 6, 11 green days. So doing good. I think we're green on all the funded accounts we have, except for the one we haven't activated. In this account, we've had an accuracy rate of roughly 60%. Not the biggest accurate. But my winners are a little bit larger than my losses. All right, guys, NASDAQ still in this choppy range here. It's not really looking like the best trading action. NASDAQ down at 25.4. NASDAQ starting to flush down. Red. Eric Trump says the Trump family has made more than $1 billion from crypto, according to Financial Times. Waller says fiscal policy, stable fiscal policy, is the best way to keep yields down. Huge deficits are not sustainable in the long run, he says. Again, business inventories due 10 a.m. delayed. By the dip. No, I think the president speaks at 3 p.m. today. I don't know if he speaks earlier than that. I'm really not sure. I like Panera Bread. I hadn't eaten there in a long. They got pretty good mac and cheese, but Problem I have is I try to stay away from bread, especially here in the US. I don't know if bread's necessarily good here. Alright, we're testing that 50 level. Kind of rejecting it if you guys watch this. Yeah, again, I think we're choppy today right now. We're kind of up and down big. Tesla's European regulator RWD highlights door safety as key priority, stating car doors must be operable from inside and outside. I mean, yeah. What door is not operable from the inside or outside, guys? Again, I don't know Tesla. I don't have Teslas. I'm curious. We're green so far. Again, this market chop's kind of terrible trade though. Tesla earnings coming out soon. I'm going to get out of here, guys. I think this is not looking good. I'm green on the day in almost everything. I lost one challenge account. That's the only thing I'm red on today. Or no, I'm sorry. I am green on 2 funded accounts. Red on 1 is what it actually is. So, again, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. Great way to help support the channel. No PDT rule in futures. Kind of boring here. We got the president set to speak, I think, later on today at 3 p.m. I think is when it is. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. We'll see if he says anything about U.S.-China relations. And again, if you want to check out Top Step, here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. This market action is just terrible. So I'm just not going to try to trade it. Check out Top Step. Beautiful way to help support the channel. Great way to learn day trading when most day traders lose. Just a beautiful way to learn without losing more than $50 per account. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, of course. Understand all this stuff on screen. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you guys lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. And hey, thank you for the donation. All the crypto charts are looking more sketchy now. Compressed volumes and prices. Big moves soon in 12 to 18 hours. We'll see, brother. I appreciate the crypto, or I appreciate the donation, dude. Thank you. Yeah, I've done better trading this chop than anything else. But yeah, I'm out of here, guys. As soon as I close the stream, it's going to bring you to tomorrow's stream. Again, my expectation of you all, I have high standards. I expect you to wait on that stream until tomorrow. No bathroom breaks, no music. Focus the whole time. 24 hours. You know. David Groggins would do it. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. I'm just joking, kind of. Have a great day.